What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. And we have a new game coming June 16th, early release, June 19th. If you do not get the Elite Edition or whatever edition gives you the 3-day early access. Of course, you know your boy is going to get the early access because we got to get in and rocking. I did not play the beta, but this is as good, if not a better way to kind of get an idea about the game without ruining kind of that excitement of that new game feel when it comes out, right? That's the one thing about the betas, is that it sort of ruins that excitement, right? All that curiosity that you get when you play the game for the first day. I've done it a few different times only for FIFA in the past, and honestly, I liked it better when I opened up or turned on the game for the first time and just started going at the game, right? Started exploring, and it's always more fun that way. But we might as well get an early look just to raise that excitement. Or maybe some of you think this game just is a bust because it's more of an arcade feel. So it says a new take on football featuring intense 5v5 online matches in third-person perspective. So slow clap, looks like the developers of this one will see if it turns into a greedy mess. I know there will be microtransactions, which you already know. That's just the name of the game nowadays for any game, football or not. Pre-orders and beta signups, and I think there will be more betas. I did sign up just to be part of the newsletter. Obviously, if I get invited, I'll do it. But like I said, even just because I couldn't fight the curiosity. However, if I don't get selected, it's almost better that way because of the reasons I just said, honestly. However, you already know how it goes. I'm not going to lie and act like if I get invited to test it, I would be able to hold out. I'd want to see what's going on. So, first beta has come to an end. They had 1.3 million plus people sign up. This is something cool, and this says a lot. You can actually tell a lot about the information that these companies share. So you see the average game, 7.42 minutes, with average overtime being 3.5 minutes. So the games look like they're roughly 7 to 10 minutes, which isn't bad at all. So look at this. It says 3M of hours equals 350 years total play time. So that's how much play was gathered during the beta, which means they had a lot of feedback from this beta, right? That's what they're trying to tell us. CCU over time. But here's the main thing I wanted to go over on this, the player stats. So 13 million goals scored, right? 7.9 million assists, 74.9 million passes, and 18.7 million dribbles. The very simple stats, but the very important stats, right? And that's what I think this game is going to be on an early look. And now we're going to look at some of the highlights. But based on the data that was collected, it's not all this intricate stuff that you would see on maybe a FIFA, if they informed us of stuff that they were going to be looking at feedback-wise. And that's because it's not meant to be an intricate game like that. It's supposed to get to the basics of football, but the excitement of those basics, if that makes sense, right? 16.2 million saves. And then you have the best goalkeepers and the best strikers. Obviously, they have their own, made up players. So let's take a look at this. And you kind of see what I'm saying. Obviously, you see some fancy moves there, right? But outside of that, you have some added speed boosts and different things. However, the football part is very basic, right? You look here, you see speed boost moves, shooting the ball 5v5. So when it comes to all the, I guess you want to call it bells and whistles of beating defenders and stuff, it looks like some pretty cool things. Kind of like a FIFA Street, but still sticking more to the roots, right? Whereas FIFA Street, it was kind of automatic passing, automatic dribbling, a lot of animations in there. And I guess I am seeing that here. I don't want to overhype it. I'm trying to be fair and give you my honest first look. But it still looks more kind of like UFL at the opening stages when everyone loved it, right? Obviously, better graphics, better fluidity, it looks like. But that same feel of, okay, yes, I can have good reactions dribbling. Yes, I can have good reactions passing. Okay, check. Okay, the goalkeepers are pretty, the animations were pretty bad. But I can play open football, right? I can pass, I can defend manually. So when I play an opponent, it's going to be skill based. Whoever is the better player is going to win. All the basics are there. Some games are missing that. Let's be honest, right? Let's keep scrolling down. By the way, that was Speed, who probably got paid a pretty penny to do this beta, right? So you see there, right? They do add the bells and whistles, right? That FIFA Street-esque type of feel to it with the bicycle kicks and things like that. However, the movement here, like this is what I'm talking about, the movement between in the build up, right? The passing, the making runs and stuff like that, outside of all the speed boosts, the crazy different moves and crazy different animations for shots and stuff. It's the simple forms of football that are highlighted. Passing, shooting, dribbling, obviously defending. The one part that I don't see as much of, that I want to see more of, is the defending part. So let's see if we can get something there. So you've seen that player come in for a slide tackle, right? And really, that's all I'm seeing. Now, obviously, this is just that one player just sliding all over the place, right? So we don't have much in regards to defense, right? And the principles. However, I'm sure it's very simplistic, very basic, like what I was just talking about, right? If you take away all the bells and whistles of it, you're going to have a very straightforward, all right, you have an open passing lane, pass it. Have an open shooting lane, shoot it. If you have space to dribble, dribble, right? And then the defending, simply put, you try to block out passing lanes, block out dribbling lanes, and it's that easy to make a good football game, right? Now I know it's a lot harder when it's 11v11 and you're trying to make it as realistic as possible. A little easier if you make it more arcade-like, which this is, but it looks like the simplicity of the movements and stuff. When I'm talking about the basics, it looks like they have that covered, and a lot of football games mess that up, probably because much of the developers did not play the games themselves, right? Right, that they create. And that's for football, that's for American football with Madden, that's for basketball, baseball, anything. You have to have people that know the nuances of the actual game in real life to translate that over and to know how to explain it in coders' language to their development team, right? So they can code the game and get the actual football feel. And that's going to be the big test. You see keepers there, good save. One of the big areas that these games mess up on. I think that's one area where Konami, they have some excellent animations, right? But then they have some wonky stuff that goes on in eFootball in particular. FC has had their fair share of problems, but honestly, for me, UFL keepers terrible, animations terrible. eFootball, great animations, but they have some goofy stuff. A 2-yard header that the goalie parries away, 50-yard shots that for some reason get parried away. Some goofy stuff that goes on with the goalkeepers coming out if you have an offensive goalkeeper. So with that being said, it will be interesting to see in a game that's 5v5, you know, how the goalkeepers do with all types of different shots. I like what I've seen from the like little animations there, right? So some crazy slide tackling effects there. It looks like there's some super jumps, right? So when I say a simplistic form of football and then you see all this jumping and craziness, I know it's hard to understand what I mean, but I'm just talking about the basic physics of, like I just said earlier, just passing to an open player, dribbling if you have space, then shooting. Simple as that. Defending, just as simplified to covering passing lanes, right? Covering dribbling lanes, committing to tackles when it's open, and then starting an attack once you win the ball, right, on the defensive side. Goalkeeper side, simply win the ball, come out when you can, get the ball feet when you can, and distribute, and then make saves other than that. If they have all those parts covered, right, and they do good there, then all the bells and whistles are just a side part. As long as it's not so animation heavy that it takes away from any of those basics, this could be a very fun game, because football in itself is exciting video game wise because it's constant movement. It can be constant action. The only part that makes the games boring is when the AI takes over because you're not in control. Your brain's not working in a way that you're doing something and either getting rewarded for doing it well or punished for messing it up, right? So you need those simplistic parts. It doesn't matter if you have these bells and whistles with these super crazy goals and stuff, or even just a simple finish, right? The competitive part is within the decision making and creating chances and scoring chances, right? Or shoot, if you're a goalkeeper, making a save. If you're a defender, making a tackle. So that's what we're going to see. They showed a real game there. It said truly a rematch moment. I guess the goalkeeper can come out. Oh, yeah, it does say Roman goalkeeper on there, right? And they did have a breakdown that I thought was very cool, right? Um, that basically said what the game was about, and they broke it down to simplicity, like the golden rules of rematch. Goalkeepers are Roman goalies, right? And then there's a few other ones, but it was very simple, and that's what caught my eye first, to be honest with you. That they kind of got it. That it's just pure football at the core, and then they added in all the cool, like, scenery, if you will. These cool stadiums, which I like how it's got this 3D effect, and then at the end the 3D part goes away because the 3D part is what keeps the ball in bounds, right? There's walls. It's almost like indoor football in that sense, but then it breaks down and you're actually playing in a stadium. So it almost gives you this futuristic vibe. Like, see the walls break down and you're playing in a stadium and you get to see the crowd cheering when you score. So it puts you in this alternate world where this could happen, where you're in a big stadium, these 3D walls come up, the ball hits off of that, but from the view from the stadium, you got to just think they can see the whole pitch. And it's 5v5, you got all your big name players, all these top pros that are playing. I'm a football nerd like that, so I look at these little details, man. And it's very cool when you think about that, when you look at the fact that they thought about that too. They didn't have to add that stadium in the background. It could have been like outer space or something, or just a blank screen even, or something else. But they kind of thought deep enough to say this is like a literal stadium where these 3D walls come up, and that's what your pitch is. That's what creates walls. That is cool. And obviously they're going to have a ton of different backdrops, which is very cool too. And I see room for a million microtransactions, which I already know too. They have like, get these type of boots that give you this speed boost, get this type of thing that gives you this crazy move. Like, those microtransactions are going to be there, right? So here it is. Here's the simple rule. So let's look at this. Right? So you got the sweeper keepers, aka Roman goalies or whatever, so they'll receive the ball, play on the pitch. Then it says play as a team. See, just a simple shot like that, like simple movement. Rule number 3, never give up. Just 3 simple rules, it says. So Roman keepers, play as a team, never give up. Because what they're trying to say is you can be down. They showed 3-0 and a team coming back from it. June 19th, like I said, early release is 16th. I'll be playing the early release. And we'll just have to see. Now, the only way I could see this game being ruined, right, is one, servers. It's always a big deal. Will they have good enough servers to make the game not really laggy? Because especially a game like this with constant action, if you're lagged out at all, even the smallest amount, it could mess up the game. Similar to eFootball, similar to FC, but it's a little different in FC because you're able, because the game's so fast paced that even if it's slowed down from the lag, you can play. Now, it's still just unbearable at times, but I'm just saying that eFootball is by far the worst with how the game operates. Even a little bit of lag can totally ruin the game. UFL is kind of in between the two. And right now, I would say FC has the worst as far as servers, server lag, stuff like that, followed by UFL, then followed by me. I get the least bit of lag in eFootball. So let's hope that Rematch is on the better side of that. And then the only other thing besides that is the microtransactions. Is there going to be some crazy feature that can be bought? Look at this backdrop. See what I mean? All these different backdrops. Very cool, right? Very cool. So that's kind of what we have here. We have kind of, this was all the way back with the initial talk of the game, right? You have these rules, and we'll just have to see where the game goes. I like what I see so far. It can be a totally different take, but you can get pretty deep in this, right? So let's just hope. I don't even know if I finished my thought earlier with the microtransactions. If I did, so be it. If not, I'll repeat it. Um, like, let's just hope they don't give some crazy microtransaction that makes the player, like boots. If you get these boots and pay $10, you're gonna be unstoppable, and all of a sudden your player can run all over and score every shot. If you get this certain type of whatever it is, like if certain items make certain players just so OP that the players you spend more money are going to, easily win more games. It should be about the football than have vanity items. That would be awesome. Now I know it's a business too, and we'll just have to see how that goes, right? We'll have to see. Um, because that's the most tempting thing for these companies. They start getting money in, and now it's like, man, if we make some of these things affect the play, make some of these things overpowered where players feel like they have to have it to perform, they make more money. But it's just a sleazy way to operate, and it takes away from the, you know, competitive part of the game where two players compete within the game and the better players win. It becomes an addition to that would be who swipes their credit card more, right? Which shouldn't be the case. So only time will tell. June 16th, not that far away, and we will have a new football game to cover. So that's my first look. Went through X here. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys played the beta, if you guys just scrolled through like me, if you guys have been watching extended videos, I know that I will keep track as I go, but I want the excitement to build up for day one. Or if I do the beta, so be it, and I'll give you a little more detailed breakdown later. But until next time, keep grinding, keep having fun. We'll see you later. Peace.